So hi everyone, I'm here to share my idea that Jurmala is diverse and fascinating city. First I would like to introduce myself. My name is Tora and I am from Jurmala. I moved there 3 years ago, and that is when my journey of getting to know the city has started. I moved to Vaivari, that is a station that used to be called Asari 2, and then eventually it became a center when different parts of Jurmala got united together. In 1950s, Jurmala was formed by joining of different areas that were posh, fun, resort-like on one hand, and modest, utilitarian and Soviet on the other hand. Walking around and driving along with the bike, that's how my journey started. And first, Jurmala seemed quite a surreal place for me. To me, it seemed like a resort-like place, very much frozen in times, and particularly in the 90s. However, then I developed the taste for it. And since we have now map of Jurmala here, I would like to quickly go through the history of the place and what you can see until now. Here, the place of Lielupe used to be populated by Germans. They had huge plots, huge houses, very private plots, not very much connected with each other. In the center, in Majuri area and famous Jomas Iela promenade area, that was the center of resort party lifestyle. Until now, there you have restaurants, cafe, everything is very seasonal, and that is Jurmala, what I had idea of before coming there. Beyond Dubulti starts another story. There smaller plots are prevalent, also smaller houses, and very much the gardens. That's where people also live all year long, and sometimes have little gardens to grow, for example, strawberries. That's why Asari station is famous for its strawberry growth and selling. So having inspiration from all of that, and that took 3 years for me to develop the taste for the place, I made my personal blog and Telegram channel Vaivari TV. So to sum up, Vaivari for me is a symbol of unification of all those different sides and shades of Jurmala in one place, and for me it's a metaphorical bridge. So here I am trying to look at the chronological historical perspective. However, for my classification of private houses, I'm not very much focused on the chronological time frame. However, I think this was a great way for me to understand the trends and also to tell them to you about. So first direction that was for me to look at is from 80s to 90s. So 90s is time of economical uncertainty, and times like that are very rewarding to those who are able to take advantage of them. And in 90s, people who got rich very fast, very quick, and that was also okay to show it, and it was also very much encouraged. So people decided to go for whimsy and complex style of private houses, and opposing the past. It was very first time when they had an opportunity to express that, and also the wild mind to do so. So direction number 2 is from 90s to 2000s, and here we already have some kind of catchy images of houses of Jurmala. So from 90s to 2000s, different trend starts, is when people became more, how is that, like for people, it became more possible to get houses and plots, and also the attitudes towards private houses changes a little bit. If in 90s it was so that a house owner could come to an architect, or an architect could propose something very wild and very complex. And first the facade was built, and then rooms were fitted inside. That's why this phenomenon of very strangely aligned houses appears. However, in 2000s, people started to think the other way around. And another trend of housing is highly prevalent is when first you have this rather simple geometrical structure, and that structure is already being decorated from the facade. And another trend that, of course, was influencing all this shift is that people simply started to travel more and being exposed to international private housing styles, being exposed to them. So, and first segment of my classification is Grand Palace. And here I would like to talk about playful term historization and ahistorization. So historization is when people think of building a house and they get inspired by styles of the past. However, reality is different, architects are different, materials are different, and the techniques as well. That leads to a certain phenomenon when people say, okay, then let's take some elements and reintegrate them. So what I mean by ahistorization is taking certain elements out of historical context and reinterpret them in the modernity. So, in other words, history in free interpretation. So there are three main types of Grand Palace private house architecture. Neoclassical, very big, very posh. Another one is a neo-Gothic. And the final one is Castle Stylo. In this particular lecture, I would like to focus on those first two. However, just to let you know that neo-Gothic style is also there, lying to be discovered. So here is a little bit what got me inspired into all this story is brick house with fantastic tower on the side, also with high arched windows a little bit here, and also this fantastic little window. And all of this is surrounded by rather un-medievalistic look. Here in particular, it's kind of neighboring with this block house, which is being renovated. Another example of this style is a little house surrounded by quite interesting fence, and here is a beautiful tower that all is made with two materials. Mainly those are natural stone and plaster. Plaster is colorful, which is very romantic, this peach pinkish color, and I think tower is also very prominent, reminding us of medieval past. That is very interesting, reinterpreted with some elements of glass here. Also very interesting neighborhood. This type of house we will speak about in a little bit. And then here is quite solid and practical Silicate house. Another one which is made with concrete blocks, and we can see that some medieval elements are kind of just start to appear. Here we have some stonework hugging the ribs of the house, and I think this could be something interesting. Maybe we have to wait for this to be completed. And here I think is the best example of ahistorization is when elements are taken out of the historical context. For example, here we see those tall windows and also the towers. However, those triangle roofs are somehow very interesting, but not only roofs and windows. So I think this one is very interesting play, but this I like genuinely. I think that could be a really nice way to think of something and kind of try to find the way, like, to really give a way to creativity that one might have. Another example, and here I think the most exciting part is the materials, because this all is beige plastic boards. On top it's covered with a red metal roof, and of course natural stone is below, and then I think it's obvious that the shape is very much inspired by medieval romanticism. And this house is historical, however, we can see that this trend is quite prevalent. So the tower is also very much in the same direction. So here are two more examples. This one I want to leave a little bit for later, but on the top we can see also this beautiful combination of towers, elements of wood work, very beautiful, and quite nice also color work there. And this one is yet another example of a historization when elements like round windows, tall windows on the other side, towers, but all of this is nicely combined with, for example, a very modern drive-in garage. This is another example of being creative with materials that people use in house construction. This is all wood. Maybe you can't see it from the side now, but all of that is made from simple boards, just painted. However, we can see the idea behind it very clearly. This is for later. So now I would like to talk about neoclassical style. Neoclassical style is used until today, and it's highly advised for big houses with big plots. So here we see elements like tower with a slight touch of the tower topped up by ancient Greek with balustrade tower. All of that is painted really nicely, so I think that is kind of showing the sense of humor behind it a little bit. And also the terrace that is, balcony that is coming out, I think it's a very elegant solution for that is actually area around Bulduri. Another example, the house is huge, and I think you can see really well how well they use the space. On the second story we have this beautiful veranda with the terrace, and terrace is hugged by garden sculptures. Also the decoration on the side and plaster work is really much prominent, and also the stone side I think is nice addition. I mean, this work here, hugging the house from the ribs. Another use of columns, I think here it's very much in place. This house is historical, however, I think the connection to classical style is still persistent, that here it plays really nicely with the ensemble, also the nature, and I think this fountain, which is not active right now, but could be quite interesting in summer. Here I would like to take a little closer look to one of those elements, and here you have the houses are very much what we have discussed. However, here it's written that it's being the construction have started in 2005. That's maybe my favorite one. We have arched windows and very nice connection coming from the side with columns, and this roof also citing the classical style. And another creative use of materials, because all of this is wood, including the columns, painted and really nicely renovated. Another example, very well fenced, as we see the color is turquoise together with a peach beige. Also quite a huge, prominently located house. This is around Asari area. I think really nice example. Just like this one, which unfortunately have never been finished. I think we still see the tracks of the construction site. However, the citation of round windows and roofs is really, also the symmetry is very elegant. So this is another example of neoclassical style house. So the second segment is national motifs. And here I would like to talk about the combination of historical conjunction that could happen only here. And that is combination of Neo-Germanic and national neo-traditional Latvian style. The history of those both got me very going, and that led me to learning a lot about neo-traditional Latvian style evolution that happened here, and I think that is really fascinating thing to be explored. But I first start with Neo-Germanic tradition, also called Fachwerk. Fachwerk is the style of construction and also the decor when you have very elaborate wooden construction that is being filled with stone, other material, very often covered with plaster. Here we have a colorful plaster and colorful wood elements. In this particular house, not only that it's very beautiful, but it also has asbestos roof. And asbestos is very interesting material. It's being banned from use in many places. And why? Because when it's being damaged, or when it's degrading, or when it's being removed wrongly, it causes pretty hazardous damage to your health system. So this, I think, is quite a unique mix that you will not be able to see sometime later. This one is in Moscow area, it's not in Jurmala. I have to make a note at this point, but I think it is impossible to miss, because here we have a citation of Fachwerk tradition surrounded by block house, and here is also some kind of elegant house, but what is icing on the top is that this is standing in front of Maxima. So I think that you can imagine the, let's say, cultural inspiration that you could get from this place. And this one is in Jurmala, and here I put it also because of the material that it is using, because that is all plastic boards of stone, or let's say, this is the animal bone. So that is really nice beach culture, especially in sunny day, it plays really well. So that was the Neo-Germanic tradition. And another side that is really interesting to see the trajectory of development, especially here, is a neo-traditional Latvian style. And here I would like to say that how I started to learn it and what I learned, and would like to share, maybe you will find it interesting, that it started from the fact for me that in Stalin times the only way of self-identification, of self-expression was folklore and fairy tales. Then in 30s, national romanticism is replacing slowly international modernism, and then acting a little bit against that. In 50s, Soviet times, so-called trend of fighting the excess starting, and all the highly decorative elements are being removed. So that was kind of the opposition to Stalin times, and being replaced by Khrushchevkas. And then in late 70s and 80s, postmodernistic turn of national style is reappearing, and that is interesting because in this particular context it was opposing being completely outside of local context, and having this conflict between social versus private. So postmodernism, postmodern turn in neo-traditional style to me is very much characterized by private versus public, and also by balancing heritage and modernity. So people are trying to reimagine and reconnect to the local context, which to my opinion is actually a very interesting way to approach this. And then here we have this nicely geometrical shape on the windows of those constructions. Maybe those are not necessarily the examples of private houses. However, I think that this is really a nice way to show the trend that it is starting to reappear. Here we also have roofs. I think this roof shape is really prominent in national romantic houses of Riga, for example. When Riga had lots of money and lots of houses were being built, and many of them were following this pointed roof tradition. That is wild example of tukums. Here I put it because of the roof. I think that is zinc with a wire around it to create the shape. I think it's a really elegant solution to that. And then another shop following the shape. And that I see as a combination and a very elegant way to do that. It's kind of integration of Fachwerk veranda on top of Silicate brick house. And this, I was a little bit confused in which category to put it, because the shape is from one and the elements are from the other, but you could certainly see the elements citing the Latvian heritage in houses on the facades, and this one is in the center of Bulduri, so I think that is quite a prominent example that you might see. So now we finally move to my personal favorite category, which is silicate. What is silicate? Silicate, or white brick, is a very popular material that was being used in Soviet times and years following its collapse. And you might think that this is monochronical and maybe not the most exciting thing. However, I think that was actually the very affordable, very familiar to builders way to self-express, including the geometrical shapes, including combination with different materials. And then here I would like to go through my favorite examples of that. I hope it will not be too much. But first, I would like to cite two Estonian architects that were active in that time. And Villen is saying, we experimented with everything back then. The civilized methods came later. Okay, maybe it's not the most complimentary comment on silicate brick. However, I think it shows the attitude that was standing behind it. And Emil is citing, reflecting on that time, reflecting on this time, no new materials or technologies came right off the bat. It was silicate bricks, ruberoid, and plaster. Summing it up, I would say that turning limitations into opportunities, that is actually what silicate brick is all about. So, first and foremost, the castle made of silicate, it's all white and red. However, I would really like to invite you to take a closer look from this side, because here we see fantastic work that was made by the masons. And then on the other side, we also see the variation of column made out of the brick. So I think this is a really nice and elegant example of how could that be used. Here I think we have quite a good example of how to integrate different materials and how to combine them with silicate, because those both geometrical shapes are obviously made from the brick. However, the connection is all made from wood and painted with a pink, I think, very elegant solution. Another example of style combination, I admit that this house might have been insulated by the owners and they could cover the bottom part with the brick on top of the original one. However, I think the idea is clear. This mezzanine roof, mansarda type of roof, this mezzanine, and then the historical house, however, the facade is from silicate. This one is here due to its beautiful renovation. Here, the owners of the garden, we can see that they keep everything very clean and nice. They also renovated the house in the way that I have never, ever met in my entire life. That is painting the pattern of the brick with different color. And like this, I think it's playing completely different way. So also the roof is actually made with kercher. That's what I mean by playing with geometry. Not only that this line following the roof shape is appearing, but also the way of layering the bricks is quite unusual. If you see that one is standing on top of another, instead of the overlapping one that is usually used for the actual construction of the house, not for the decoration. Another example of probably insulation, but I think resulting in a very interesting way, is that we have this mezzanine roof. Mezzanine roof is when it's coming to the side, mansarda roof. Mansarda roof that is covering the mansard and resulting in this beautiful change of the facade, and also on this mezzanine house, I think that is quite an unusual shape. Also with the windows, with this decoration around them, I think that is really good example of right use of silicate. This one is not private house, obviously, but I could not miss it because I think this one is. It's actually in Spilve airport. No idea what that could be used for, but the columns and brick combination, I think, does not leave anybody untouched. This house is in Kauguri, and we see that one side of the house is plastered and painted, and it's very well kept. Another part is remaining authentic, but I think the location of this house is also very interesting because it's all surrounded by block houses, and this one is standing alone with its beautiful garden. Another example of a shop was this kind of intricate roof. That I think could be a great visualization of the quotes that we have read before, because this house is made from all kinds of different materials. Like here is a silicate, and there are some concrete blocks. On top there are those tubes connected under one roof, that altogether is quite a good job, I think. And then I think this one is a great example of how to actually do it also in a very nice way, because this one is combined with obviously wood, and it's rather huge, so I think it can't be easy. And then another example of nice interpretation of materials is a log house being based on top of the silicate base. So I think this one is really cozy feeling traveling here in the room when we look at this house. That is my personal favorite. Here we have combination of silicate brick together with natural stone, topped up by asbestos roof. The old stove have not been removed, and then it's on the side is nicely made with old wood. And quite an unusual way to use silicate. Here we have the terrace that is having some decorative part in that, also with pure silicate. So here is the rotonda shape, kind of extending the house a little bit to the garden. And here is rotonda shape being used to build veranda, also from silicate brick alone. So finalizing this, I would maybe like to share my excitement with this material, because not only that it was familiar for the builders, and when technologies came to especially private house, they had some time to travel, and then people, when they had their creativity and when they had their opportunities financial wise, that was what they really could use. That was really cheap, it's really durable, it's standing until today, which makes it a rather sustainable material from my opinion. And then I think the aesthetic is timeless, and it's also traveling through different times. And also the silicate brick sometimes is used as a construction material, but very often like a decoration, because it's so strong and durable. And the sweetest I left for the last part, the category that I call shape blast, and that is the category when houses are very much playful with their shapes, with their curves, and they are showing the best from those from the sides of the big houses on big plots. So here we have some neo-modernistic house with round windows and in best traditions of the modernity. This half triangle house surrounded by the garden, and this is actually strawberries of Asari, so here to be appreciated. And then I think the roof shape intersection is done really nicely. So this one is actually the Asari plantation. Another example, here the also quite interesting combination of roofs, because from this side it's quadratic, and from the other side it's triangle, and then also here in between we see the improvised veranda made from wood. Huge house, beautiful roof, and I don't want to repeat it again, but it's silicate. Twice rotonda, finalizing a big house. And for some reason this shape is being used in Jurmala not once, not twice, quite often. I totally understand why. However, I think the shape remains reasonably extravagant. Here we have a nice modern interpretation of what postmodernistic tradition could bring us. Here we have not only glass, not only black wood and all kinds of beautiful shapes. To me it's certainly shaped glass. Really nice and elegant solution to do exactly what I have spoken about, having a very regular geometrical shape and turning with decorations into something more interesting. So here we have nice connection of roof and the base, and including the drive-in garage. Speaking of shape blast, I would like to talk about subcategory of that house construction, house style, and that is American style. What I mean by American style is when different places are having different roof and are united by one roof into one ensemble, and those houses are very much categorized also based on the availability of drive-in garage space. Those houses are usually enormous in size, and plots also are not the smallest. Here is another example. The shapes are also quite interesting. I like this center rotonda kind of extending its wings, and quite rare also fence around it. And this example of house, well, I think that is just really beautiful, because here we have this nice triangle play, and then on the other side it's rather a simple traditional house shape, and all of this is united by a la Italian style arcs connecting two parts of the house in the garden. And this one has never been finished. However, I think they're very promising start. Beautiful, nice triangle, even I would say not triangle, but something more exciting than that, center base of the house made from black wood. For some reason have never been finished. And on this note, I would like to say thank you. And I hope that you accept my invitation into looking at private house architecture as a way of self-expression and creativity. And here is link to my Telegram channel, and I hope that you will follow, because that's my main full-time job, to walk around in Jurmala and take pictures of the house. So thank you so much.